The scariest thing about the plasma storyline right now isn't the violence, it's the silence. The feeling that somebody already knows everything while everyone else is still playing detective. And honestly, that's why Elon may have just made the biggest mistake in this entire Beyond the Gates arc. Because the moment Elon started talking to Joey, even with good intentions, he may have accidentally handed the enemy exactly what they needed: awareness. Not proof, not evidence. Awareness. And in a story built around secrecy, underground operations, and hidden power, awareness is more dangerous than a gun. Let's really break this down, because I think a lot of viewers are focusing only on the emotional betrayal here. But the real issue is strategic. This isn't just Elon messed up. This is a domino effect that could destroy Jacob's entire investigation before it even reaches the top of the chain. And the worst part, Jacob still has no idea how exposed he actually is. At this point in the story, Jacob and Smitty were finally getting close to something real. After all the confusion surrounding the plasma operation, the clues were starting to align. Grayson revealed that Leah was connected to Plasma King's network. Jacob quietly began investigating her. Then Grayson made that deal, the one where he agreed to expose secrets in exchange for protection from prison time. That detail matters more than people realize. Because once Jacob made that promise, the investigation stopped being theoretical. It became active, dangerous, personal. This wasn't just gossip anymore. This was law enforcement moving toward a target. And somehow, Elon became connected to all of it without fully understanding what he was stepping into. That's the tragedy of his character right now. Elon thinks he's protecting people. He thinks he's helping Naomi. He thinks he's supporting Jacob in his own way. But what he's actually doing is leaking emotional information into a criminal ecosystem that survives by detecting threats early. That's why Joey's reaction matters so much. People keep underestimating Joey because he rarely behaves like the stereotypical crime boss. He doesn't scream. He doesn't posture constantly. He doesn't walk around announcing power. But honestly, that's exactly what makes him terrifying. If Joey really is the mastermind behind Plasma King, then he doesn't need chaos. He needs information. And Elon gave him some, maybe not intentionally, maybe not directly, but enough. The second Elon started speaking from a place of fear and concern, Joey likely understood one thing immediately. Someone close to the investigation is moving carefully. That alone would trigger defensive behavior. That's what I mean when I say Elon activated defense mode. A smart criminal organization doesn't wait until police arrive at the door. They adjust the moment they feel pressure. They disappear. They compartmentalize. They isolate information. They sacrifice lower level members. And most importantly, they hide the king. That's why I'm suddenly very worried about Leah. Not because she's innocent, she clearly isn't, but because she may not actually know enough to destroy the organization from the top down. And that changes everything. A lot of viewers are assuming that if Jacob arrests Leah, the case is over. But what if Plasma King's structure was designed specifically to prevent that? What if the operation is layered so carefully that every member only knows fragments? Because if Joey is truly behind all of this, there is no way he would allow someone like Leah to hold enough information to expose him completely. That would be amateur behavior. And Joey doesn't feel amateur at all. Actually, the more I think about it, the more this storyline starts looking less like a street-level crime plot and more like a psychological war about visibility. Who sees whom first? Who realizes the truth before the other side reacts? Right now, Joey may already know that somebody is watching. Meanwhile, Jacob still thinks he's hidden. That imbalance is deadly. And here's where the writing gets really smart, if the show actually commits to it. Because Jacob's biggest weakness has never been intelligence. It's emotional trust. He assumes the people around him are operating from the same moral framework he is. So when he asked Elon to protect Naomi, he probably thought he was keeping things contained. But indirectly, he may have widened the circle. That's the danger of secrets and beyond the gates. Every attempt to protect someone creates another vulnerability somewhere else. You can already feel the tension building around Fairmont Crest itself. The plasma ring isn't staying isolated anymore. It's spreading socially. That's what makes this storyline different from a normal crime arc. The threat isn't just physical violence. It's contamination, information contamination, relationship contamination, trust contamination. Suddenly, everyone is connected to someone suspicious. And honestly, Marcel's connection to Leah may become one of the most dangerous pieces of this entire puzzle. People are not talking about this enough. Marcel being friends with Leah sounds harmless on paper. But in a covert investigation, social proximity is everything. Because now we have to ask the uncomfortable question, what happens if Marcel accidentally leaks something? Maybe not intentionally, maybe not maliciously, maybe just casually. That's how these disasters happen. One conversation, one warning, one emotional reaction. And suddenly Grayson is exposed. This is why Grayson's situation suddenly feels terrifying to me. He already took a massive risk by talking. He already crossed a line that people inside criminal systems are never supposed to cross. Informants survive only when secrecy survives. But if Leah learns Jacob is investigating her, if Joey learns Grayson cooperated, if the plasma network starts tracing leaks backward, Grayson could become a dead man walking. And the scary part is that nobody around him fully understands the scale of danger yet. That's what makes Elon's actions so frustrating. I understand why he did it. I really do. He's operating emotionally, not strategically. He sees Naomi vulnerable. He sees threats emerging. He wants to help his son without completely understanding the battlefield. But intention does not erase consequence. Actually, some of the most devastating mistakes in this show happen because characters think they're doing the right thing. That's what makes this storyline compelling. Nobody wakes up saying, I want to destroy the investigation today. Instead, they rationalize, they improvise, they trust the wrong person for 5 seconds too long. And in a criminal network, 5 seconds is enough. What fascinates me most is how Beyond the Gates is quietly exploring the difference between visible power and invisible power. Characters like Grayson look dangerous because they're loud, messy, unstable. But Joey feels controlled, patient, observant. Invisible power is always harder to fight because you can't predict its shape. Think about it. If Joey knows Jacob is undercover or investigating plasma, what does he do next? Does he retaliate immediately? Probably not. That would expose him. A smarter move would be to disappear temporarily, shut down operations, move assets, cut vulnerable connections. Let investigators chase ghosts while rebuilding the network somewhere deeper and harder to reach. That's why Elon's accidental leak matters so much. Not because it immediately destroys Jacob's case, but because it gives the enemy time. And time is priceless in organized crime. The more time Joey has, the stronger plasma becomes. That's the truly terrifying possibility here. Jacob's investigation may not stop the ring. It may force the ring to evolve. And honestly, that would be a brilliant twist. Because viewers are still expecting a traditional takedown storyline where investigators slowly uncover evidence, arrest key players, and expose the mastermind in a dramatic reveal. But what if the show goes darker than that? What if Jacob realizes too late that he was never chasing the head of the snake, only the skin it shed? That possibility completely changes how I look at Leah too. I don't think Leah is the big bad. I think she's important, dangerous, and deeply involved. But she feels like someone operating within a system, not someone controlling the whole architecture. And if that's true, then arresting her may create the illusion of victory while the real mastermind escapes deeper into the shadows. Which brings me back to Joey. The reason Joey scares me isn't because we've seen him commit the worst acts yet. It's because the narrative keeps placing him near information, near vulnerability, near emotional weak spots. That's not accidental writing. The show keeps positioning Joey like a listener. And listeners are dangerous, especially when everyone else talks too much. Jacob talks through action. Grayson talks through panic. Elon talks through emotion. Joey listens. That imbalance alone tells me he may already be 10 steps ahead. There's also a deeper thematic layer here that I think people are missing. The plasma storyline isn't only about crime. It's about blindness, about how people fail to recognize danger when it arrives through familiar faces. Elon doesn't fear Joey enough because Joey doesn't look like a monster. Marcel may trust Leah because friendship feels safer than suspicion. Jacob may underestimate exposure because he still believes in controllable risk. But evil in Beyond the Gates rarely announces itself openly. It blends in first, and that's why Fairmont Crest feels increasingly unsafe. Not because violence is everywhere yet, but because uncertainty is anyone could be compromised. Anyone could accidentally expose someone else. Anyone could already be working for Plasma without fully understanding the machine they're serving. That paranoia is becoming the real atmosphere of the show. And if the writers are smart, they won't rush the reveal. Because the longer the mastermind remains invisible, the more psychologically exhausting the story becomes for both the characters and the audience. You start questioning every interaction, every coincidence, every warning. Even Elon's behavior becomes tragic under that lens. He thinks he's acting out of love for his son, but love without awareness can become destruction. That's the brutal irony here. Elon may end up hurting Jacob more than any direct enemy could simply because he doesn't understand the scale of the war Jacob stepped into. And once again, intention won't matter. Consequences will. I also think the show is building toward a painful realization for Jacob himself. Being undercover doesn't automatically mean being hidden. That distinction is huge. A lot of characters in crime dramas believe secrecy equals safety. But real power structures often detect patterns long before they detect proof. Joey may not know every detail yet. He may not know every player involved. But if he senses investigation pressure, that alone changes the game. From that moment forward, Jacob is no longer hunting freely. He's hunting something that now knows it's being hunted. And predators become far more dangerous when cornered. That's why I'm honestly nervous about where this story goes next. Not because I think Jacob is weak, but because the battlefield itself has changed. The enemy is in the shadows. The information flow is compromised. The social circle around the investigation is leaking risk from multiple directions. And worst of all, the plasma ring may become stronger precisely because someone warned it too early. That possibility keeps haunting me because sometimes exposing evil doesn't destroy it immediately. Sometimes it teaches evil how to survive better. And if Beyond the Gates commits fully to that idea, then the scariest chapter of the plasma storyline may not be the one where the truth comes out, but the one where the truth almost came out and the darkness learned how to adapt first.